maybe help us kind of define what we mean when we mention data science and why it's important for marketplaces?
Yeah, and I know a lot of people on the call may have either heard or like read, some snippets of the podcast I did with Lenny, and I talk about this a little bit there. For the purposes of this call, I'll kind of be succinct in describing some of the points that I made there. The most important thing for a digital marketplace, like a technology-enabled marketplace, is first of all just that, if you think about what markets looked like thousands of years ago, like Trajan's market in Rome or the Agora in Athens, these were non-digital markets, and any transaction that took place was lost to the ether. Like we never have we don't have a record for posterity about like the buyer, the seller, the terms of trade. How they found each other, and digital marketplaces upend all that. We all of these digital footprints, the digital exhaust is like recorded for us. So that, first of all, in a nutshell, why data science? It's because data is, I think, the foundation of what makes these marketplaces technologically unique as opposed to something like Trajan's market. And what does data science mean and when does it matter? I think one could arguably make the case that basically any aspect of a modern marketplace should be informed by what we do with this data, ranging from marketing to product to ops. But I want to focus on a distinction between kind of two different types of things you could do. One type of thing you could do is something you would do even if you weren't running a marketplace. So let's take marketing as an example, right? Whether you're running Johnson& and Johnson or you're running Airbnb, figuring out how to run your marketing campaigns is a thing that you have to spend time on. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if J&J and Airbnb cross recruit, people that are working in marketing at the other company. There's not really a huge difference there, like mechanically in terms of the things that data scientists that work on marketing do, right? You're trying to evaluate campaigns, you're trying to figure out multi-channel marketing, those kinds of things. What's different in a marketplace, I think, though, is the set of data scientific questions that are specifically related to having two scaled sides, say buyers and sellers, at least two. Some markets have more than two, like Instacart, DoorDash, or multi-sided marketplaces. And as soon as you have multiple sides of the marketplace and you're thinking, what does data science mean there? It brings in a sort of new roster of problems for data science to grapple with, which basically involve helping each side sort through the mass on the other side to understand which are the best matches for me and why, and then to help enable those matches. And that's a very different type of problem than the kind of thing that usually arises. You can think of it as sort of the equivalent of the Netflix recommendation problem, but on both sides of the market simultaneously. And we'll talk a little bit more, I think, over the course of the chat about some of the ways in which this problem is, say, different than the Netflix problem. But I think fundamentally, like one of the things that I try to draw people's attention to is what kinds of problems, and data science problems in particular, are different because you're running a marketplace, and which ones are just kind of what you would see no matter what kind of digital business you were running. And so I want to draw attention to the fact that finding and making good matches, I think, is the core of what innovative data science in a marketplace, what makes that look different than maybe what you would see, let's say, again, if you were working at like Johnson& and Johnson or something like that on the product side.